even when I'm down. Got my head in the clouds and my feet on the ground. I got big dreams, gonna make them true.
All right. Well, thank you. Here we are in the Genius Lab, where we help you realize your greatness. Today, we have the pleasure of being with future Dr. Spencer Singh. I've known Spencer since he was in junior high school? Yeah, we've long time. And he's done some incredible things in his life. And I thought it would be really fun. And he agreed to come on and share his thing. And so, Spencer, I'm going to turn it over to you. You know, the big thing that we do here is we help people realize their greatness, and that means something different to everyone. Mm-hmm. And so what does it mean to you? And tell us about yourself.
Yeah. Well, first off, I appreciate you having me, Toby. You know, I think it's a great idea and great podcast and what you're doing to help inspire people. Right. And, you know, taking a step back and looking back on, you know, what I've done over my short 27 years here and what my future plans are. You know, when I sit back and I talk to some of my friends who are obviously in the younger generation, there's been a lot of stigma, a lot of talk about, you know, society's timelines and, hey, you need to have this job to be successful in life. You need to be on this timeline. You need to be married by a certain date. Yeah. And, you know, what I really did was I took a step back and reevaluated what my passions were, what my dreams were, and how could I get to that? Not necessarily in the fastest way, but in the most appropriate way, and being able to learn along that journey and along that path to get to where I wanted to be in life.
Got it. Yeah.
And so, you know, with that, what I decided to do, I was in investment banking. I graduated in 2018 with a finance degree from Miami, Ohio. And I started within investment banking because at the time, that's what I thought I wanted to do. Uh-huh. You know, I had always been exposed to the healthcare side of things, but you know, I felt like the business side was where I could make the most impact day to day in, you know, anyone's life for that matter. And, mm-hmm. and as I got more into it and I got deeper into the healthcare investment banking realm, you know, I really realized that, you know, while this was an interest, it wasn't a passion of mine. And
that's good. I like that. So we have things that we're interested in, but then there's the passion. Yeah. It's not like the core of your being, right?
And exactly. And I think to that point, you know, I had a couple life events. I was in a motorcycle accident where, you know, I was lucky to walk away being able to do all the activities that I could do beforehand. I had multiple broken bones. I had 4 broken vertebrae. I had a broken sternum, I had a broken shoulder, so on and so forth. And it really made me take a step back and reevaluate again what I wanted to do in life. You don't know. You want to make the most of your life in my mind. And to be able to do that, I took a step back and said, hey, you know, what are my passions? And that was healthcare. So long story short, what I ended up ultimately doing is quitting my investment banking gig and moving home at 27 years old to live with my mom and you know, take the necessary prerequisites, fulfill some other medical school requirements before applying to medical school, as I felt like, you know, becoming a physician, I could bring the most value to people's lives from a provider side of things.
Now, and I want to put a little context in here because this is not just a light decision. Okay. Spencer was living on the ocean in Santa Monica, California, going out surfing in the morning before work, driving his Tesla into LA to party. I mean, he was very successful at a very young age. And so to set that aside for a bigger opportunity, not necessarily bigger financially, but bigger in terms of bringing his greatness to the world. This was a huge, huge sacrifice. So, you know, 27, lived with my mom. It wasn't like he was living in a trailer somewhere and he upgraded. You know, he took a big downgrade to commit himself. And this is the thing that I see in you, and that I think is lacking in a lot of whatever this generation is called. You know, I see a lot of entitlement, but what I see with you is that drive and intention that that really is motivating and exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Carry on. I just wanted to give some context there.
No, I appreciate that. I think you hit the nail on the head on all fronts, right? It's something where, to your point about our generation is, I've seen that plenty of times when I worked within the investment banking realm, and we were hiring analysts. We saw the, for lack of a better word, entitlement, or in today, I just got off a search committee opportunity where we were looking to hire at my university for a specific coordinator position, and some of the applicants that came in didn't have the right resumes, came in and had a very lackluster presentation. And so really, I've seen a lot of people in today's society where they're just kind of checking the box, kind of going with the flow, and not really excelling. And that could be because maybe you're not passionate, and maybe you're not fully vested in what you want to do. And that's where I urge you to take a step back and figure out what your passion is in life. And there's no reason you don't want to be 40, 50, 60 years old regretting not going for that.
Yeah. Good point.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a friend, well, you've met Terry King, and I think guitar player friend of mine. And he called me up one day a few years ago, and he's like, he had a very, very successful executive job with a very large display manufacturer. They did things for Costco. They built all the Nike stores. I mean, huge stuff nationally. And Terry was making huge money. And he's like, Toby, I'm at a turning point. If I don't do something now, I'm going to be 65, 70 years old, retiring, wishing that I would have done this. At the same time, I'm not sure I can be successful at it. And he meant successful financially. But he said, I think I'm going to quit my job and go be a luthier, learn how to build guitars. And I'm like, hell yes, it's about time, because this guy's been about guitars since he was like 8 years old. And, this is the thing that I see in Spencer's world, it's kind of like how we used to live before the world got so artificial. Mm-hmm. It's like you had a passion and you went at that was what you did. And, success often follows adversity. Mm-hmm. Things you mentioned, there were some things that happened, tell us a little bit about the adversity and some of the hard work you've been through that has put you on this path, and how you navigated through those times, or how you navigate now through these times of living with your mom, and you got your 27-year-old friends that are getting married, having kids, and buying houses, and here you are, in schools. How is that?
Yeah, it's definitely it was a learning experience, to say the least. And I had to take a step back and realize, is this truly what I want to do, right? And I think that's something that, after taking a step back, I realized this is what I wanted to do, and this was a passion of mine. And if I was to do this, I needed to attack it 110%, right? Yeah. And if that meant moving home, because I don't have the financial capabilities to go out and have my own apartment right now, then so be it. And luckily enough, I had a great mom to be able to support me in that journey. And everyone in life is always going to have their own story, right? Their own adversity. And what I did was I didn't compare myself to other people, right?
Okay.
Everyone has their own path and their own story. And I feel like in today's society, to your point, social media has only emphasized that aspect, especially within our generation.
Yeah, we only see the Teslas. We don't see the Hondas. He drives this little beat up Honda now, but with a big smile on his face. But
it's true, right? On social media, all of this younger generation is seeing these influencers that have the Lamborghinis, that are out in LA, that are partying all the time, and come on and just make funny videos and make millions of dollars. And you
hung out with some of those, right?
Yeah, I did. And while there are people like that's in the 1%. And they also, most of them, 95, 98% of them actually had to put in the hard work, grinded with 1 to 5 to 10 viewers every post that they made, and they grew from there. And again, it was from the hard work and dedication. So in today's society, I feel like a lot of people see the end result of the hard work, and you have to understand the amount of hard work that goes into play to begin with, right?
Got it. So what do you think at this time in your life? You're on your path. What would you say is your biggest accomplishment so far?
Yeah, I think twofold. One, I could talk a little bit about my accolades. I could talk about my previous experience with banking, but I think for me, from a personal accomplishment standpoint, I think for me, it was the fact that I, again, took a step back, realized what my passion was, and decided to go full bore into it. I truly think that's my biggest accomplishment, is taking that leap of faith and taking a scary thought and making it into a reality, but knowing, hey, I need to put forth 110% effort. Let's lay out a plan, how to get to that end goal, right? And attacking it full bore. And so I think that was, as of right now, I think that's one of my biggest accomplishments, because it took a lot of self-reflection, right? And really, truly sitting down and understanding, is this what I want to do? And so I think my biggest accomplishment right now is taking that leap of faith and having trust in myself and in my abilities to be able to get to where I want to be.
Wow. I didn't expect that, in a world where everything's measured monetarily, I would imagine my biggest accomplishment was when I closed this bazillion-dollar deal, and da-da-da-da-da. How refreshing. The biggest accomplishment is following my passion, because there's a lot of Walking Dead people out there in the C-suites. And I remember an attorney friend, or I knew his daughter, and this guy was, very successful attorney in Portland, Oregon. His dream was to have a home in Cannon Beach and drive a Corvette. So he saved and saved and saved, worked his ass off. His his marriage fell apart. His kids don't talk to him, on and on and on. He hit retirement age. He gave his notice, sold his part of the partnership, had a gazillion dollars, went down to the Chevrolet dealership, bought himself a new Corvette, drove to Cannon Beach, dropped a couple mil on a really nice house, went home, and while he was packing, he died of a heart attack.
Wow.
So it's like, wow. When what's your measuring, measuring device? It's not matrix. What, is that right?
I'm not sure. So, well, to further your point, I've seen it in the millennials and in my generation too, is they always want the bigger and better thing. And they're always striving for, I want the car, I want the money, I want the house. And, we've seen it with some of my friends that were influencers, were getting to the top, and they wanted more and more and more. But in reality, they weren't happy until they stopped all of that and reevaluated, what actually interests me in life. How am I going to get the gratitude that I want? They're always looking for the acceptance, right?
Yeah. That's a good point. So for people who are watching this, we're about realize your greatness. You have made some amazing points that are very contrary to the social norm.
Yeah.
What advice would you give someone who's watching this right now to help them realize their greatness?
I think first and foremost, everyone measures greatness in different ways. If that's specializing in a certain skill, that's fantastic. If that's getting to a certain place in your job with a certain title, that's fantastic. I think everyone measures greatness in different ways, and I urge yourself to find what that specific item or that specific goal is. And as you move through that, as you move through the journey, and as you move through the path to get to where you want to be, also appreciate the steps along the way.
Right? Good point. Yes.
And I think that's something that I've tried to do in my day-to-day life is, yes, I have this end goal of of trying to get into medical school and ultimately, work my way into a surgeon type role. But I also want to appreciate my daily goals that I have for myself, right? And I think chipping away every day at that goal is going to ultimately get me to where I want to be. So I urge you guys to slow down and really make sure you have a path forward, but slow down and just appreciate the daily challenges that you face to get to where you want to be.
Wow. Fantastic. Spencer, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it.
it.
Thanks for watching the podcast. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me, Toby at tobychristensen.com. And thanks a lot, man. I'm so grateful that you're here, and you really put a new spin on things that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, so, I appreciate it, Toby. And it's great to see what you're doing with the GeniusLab podcast, and looking forward to coming on here again.
Thank you. We'll have you as you progress in your medical accomplishments. We'll have you back again.
Definitely.
Thanks, everybody.